The clinking of mimosa glasses at Morton's finest brunch spot couldn't drown out the sound of my heart pounding. I'd spent the last hour watching my mother-in-law, Victoria Pierce, hold court at our monthly family gathering, knowing that today would be different. Today the truth would finally come out. My husband, Alex, sat beside me, pushing his eggs Benedict around his plate. He hadn't eaten much since we discovered the truth 3 days ago. Our small business, a cafe we poured 5 years of our lives into, was set to be foreclosed tomorrow. The bankruptcy papers felt heavy in my bag, like a ticking time bomb waiting to explode. Another mimosa, Lauren? Victoria's voice cut through my thoughts. She sat at the head of the table, perfectly coiffed in her Channel suit, looking every bit the successful businesswoman she claimed to be. You seem tense, dear. I'm fine, I managed, gripping my water glass. Alex squeezed my knee under the table, our silent signal to stay calm. The whole Pierce family was there. Alex's sister Madison with her husband, his younger brother Patrick, and various aunts and uncles who never missed Victoria's monthly performance as the perfect family matriarch. Well, Victoria lifted her glass, her diamond bracelet catching the light. I think it's time to share some wonderful news. My stomach clenched. I knew what was coming. As you all know, Alex and Lauren's little cafe has been having some difficulties. She paused, letting everyone recall the time she criticized our risky investment and lack of business acumen. But I'm happy to announce that I've taken care of everything. Alex's hand tightened on my knee. I've paid off their business loan, all $75,000 of it. Victoria beamed as gasps and murmurs of approval circled the table. No need to thank me, darlings. That's what mothers do. Madison clapped excitedly. Oh my God, that's amazing, Ma. When did you do this? Patrick asked, looking impressed. Victoria smiled benevolently. Last month. I wanted to wait until everything was properly processed before announcing it. You know how these financial matters can be. I couldn't take it anymore. That's interesting, Victoria, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Because I have our loan statement right here. I pulled out my phone and opened the banking app. The table fell silent. Lauren, dear, Victoria's voice took on a warning tone. Perhaps this isn't the time. The balance as of this morning is still $75,000, I continued, plus the $16,000 in late fees we've accumulated. Alex sat up straighter. Mom? What's going on? Victoria waved her hand dismissively. Obviously there's been some delay in processing. These things happen. No delay, I cut in, pulling out the folder from my bag. But I do have something else to show everyone. The bankruptcy papers we have to file tomorrow, and the foreclosure notice for the cafe. The mimosa glasses stopped clinking. Madison's fork clattered against her plate. What? Patrick leaned forward. But Mom said she paid the loan. She said a lot of things, Alex spoke up, his voice tight. Like how she'd been mentoring us in business management, how she'd been reviewing our books, how she'd been helping us negotiate with suppliers. Victoria's perfect smile began to crack. I did help. I gave you advice. You gave us nothing, I said, laying out the papers on the table. But you took plenty, didn't you? Lauren, Victoria gasped. How dare you? The $75,000 you claimed to use to pay our loan? I continued. I traced it. Would you like to tell everyone where it really went, or should I? Victoria's face paled slightly, but she quickly recovered. I don't know what you're talking about. Alex, control your wife. But Alex was looking at the papers I'd spread out, bank statements, transfer receipts, and a damning trail of evidence we'd uncovered while preparing for bankruptcy. You use our business accounts, he said quietly. All those times you said you were helping with the books, you were stealing from us. The table erupted in shocked whispers. Victoria's perfect facade began to crumble. Not stealing, she protested. I was borrowing. I had investments that needed quick capital. Gambling debts, I corrected. We found the casino receipts, $75,000, exactly the amount you claimed to pay our loan with, transferred to Golden Sands Casino in Atlantic City. Madison covered her mouth with her hand. Mom, you didn't. You don't understand. Victoria's voice took on a desperate edge. I was going to win it back. I had a system. A system that cost us everything. Alex interrupted. The cafe we built from nothing. Our dream. All gone because you couldn't stay away from the blackjack tables. I pulled out one final document, A screenshot of Victoria's player's card account at Golden Sands. You lost it all in one weekend. The same weekend you told us you were at a business conference helping other struggling entrepreneurs. The elegant brunch descended into chaos. Patrick started yelling about the money Victoria had borrowed from him. Madison was crying. The aunts and uncles were whispering furiously among themselves. And there sat Victoria, her perfect world crumbling around her empty promises and lies. The $75,000 that could have saved our business, gone in a flash of cards and dice. I can explain, she began, but for the first time in my memory, no one was listening to Victoria Pierce's explanations. How many other lies? Patrick demanded, standing up from the table. What about the investment fund you said you started for my kids? Victoria's hands trembled as she reached for her mimosa. That's different. Is it? Madison cut in, her voice shaking. Because you told me last month you'd invested $50,000 from my divorce settlement. Was that a lie too? I pulled out more papers from my folder. Over the past 3 days, once we discovered Victoria's deception, I had done a deep dive into every financial claim she'd made to the family. It's all documented here, I said quietly. Every investment she claimed to make, every loan she said she paid, every business deal she pretended to arrange, and the corresponding casino trips that match each amount exactly. The elegant brunch restaurant had gone oddly quiet, other diners trying not to stare at our family's public implosion. You used us, Alex said, his voice hollow. Used our struggling business as cover for your gambling. Every time you came to review the books, you were actually transferring money out. Victoria straightened her spine, attempting to regain control. I am still your mother. You have no right to embarrass me like this. Embarrass you? Alex laughed bitterly. Tomorrow morning, Lauren and I have to declare bankruptcy. We're losing everything we've built. And you're worried about embarrassment? I spread out the bank statements showing the systematic drainage of our accounts. Small transfers at first, I explained to the family. 2,000 here, 5,000 there. Always when she was helping with our accounting. I gave you that cafe, Victoria protested, without my initial investment. Which we repaid, I interrupted. Every penny of the 100,000 you lent us 3 years ago. We have the receipts. But that wasn't enough, was it? You needed more. Madison leaned forward, studying the papers. As a financial advisor, she understood exactly what she was seeing. Mom, these aren't just impulse gambling trips. This is calculated. You used their business accounts to hide your transfers from the casino's compliance officers. Victoria's facade finally cracked. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. After your father died, maintaining our social position. By stealing from your children? Patrick's wife spoke up for the first time. By destroying their dreams? I was going to pay it all back. Victoria's voice rose hysterically. One big win. That's all I needed. Alex stood up slowly. We're pressing charges. The restaurant fell completely silent. You can't, Victoria whispered. I'm your mother. A mother who stole $75,000 from her son's business, I said. Who watched us struggle, watched us work 16-hour days trying to save our cafe, all while knowing you were the reason we were failing. The police are already involved, Alex added. We filed the report yesterday. They're just waiting for this. He gestured at the documents spread across the table. This confession. Victoria's perfect makeup couldn't hide the panic now spreading across her face. You'd send your own mother to jail? Over a little borrowed money? Little? Madison's voice cracked. Mom, you've stolen over $200,000 from your own children. The cafe, my divorce settlement, Patrick's kids' college fund. And those are just the amounts we know about, I added quietly. Victoria looked around the table at the family she manipulated and betrayed, perhaps realizing for the first time that her house of cards had finally collapsed. I need help, she whispered, and for the first time that day, she was telling the truth. Alex pulled out one final document. Sign this. It's a voluntary admission to a gambling addiction treatment center. Sign it, and we'll let the court know you're seeking help. Victoria's hand shook as she reached for the pen. Her perfectly manicured fingers, adorned with rings she'd probably bought with stolen money, could barely hold it steady enough to sign. As she scrawled her signature, I thought about our cafe, the dream we built that would be gone tomorrow. But looking at my husband's face, I saw something I hadn't seen in months. Peace. The peace of finally understanding why we've been failing despite doing everything right. Sometimes the truth costs you everything, but lies cost even more. 6 months after the brunch that exposed everything, I stood in our empty cafe one last time. The tables were gone, the espresso machines sold, the walls bare where our dreams had once hung in carefully framed photographs. Ready? Alex asked softly, holding the final box of our belongings. Before I could answer, the bell above the door chimed. Madison walked in, holding a thick folder. The forensic accountant finished the final report, she said, her face grim. You might want to sit down for this. We gathered around our former counter space, now just an empty wooden top. The morning sun streamed through the windows where we'd once served hundreds of customers their daily coffee. Total amount taken from all family members over 3 years. $347,000. Madison read. The cafe accounts were the largest single target at $75,000. But there were dozens of smaller withdrawals from everyone's accounts. Alex ran his hands through his hair. And the gambling losses? Nearly $500,000, Madison replied. She was taking loans from other sources too, credit cards, home equity, even some questionable private lenders. The treatment center had helped Victoria understand the depth of her addiction. But understanding didn't undo the damage. Our cafe was gone, but we weren't her only victims. There's something else, Madison continued. The accountant found evidence that Dad's life insurance policy was much larger than she told us. She got to it first, used most of it for gambling before any of us even knew it existed. The bell chimed again. Patrick walked in, holding papers of his own. The prosecutor called. Mom's taken the plea deal. 3 years. That's what her lies and theft had cost her. 3 years in a minimum security facility, followed by supervised release and mandatory addiction counseling. In exchange, she'd agreed to surrender all her assets for victim restitution. The house sold yesterday, Patrick added. It should cover about 60% of what she took from everyone. I looked around our empty cafe one last time. You know what's strange? I'm actually grateful it ended this way. They all turned to look at me. We were dying slowly before, I explained. Working ourselves to exhaustion, never understanding why we couldn't get ahead. At least now we know the truth. Alex nodded. And we can start over. Clean slate. Madison opened her briefcase and pulled out another document. Speaking of starting over, the family's taken a vote. We want to pull the restitution money and help you rebuild. No, Alex said firmly. We can't. You were her biggest victims, Patrick interrupted. And this cafe wasn't just your dream. It was part of all our lives, the place we gathered, celebrated, supported each other. Well, now we're going to support you for real. No lies. No hidden agendas. I felt tears welling up. But your kid's college fund. We'll be fine, Madison assured us. We've all agreed. Mom's house sold for enough to give everyone something back. We want our share to go to rebuilding the cafe. Alex looked at me, hope flickering in his eyes for the first time in months. A fresh start, he said softly. But this time with real family support, not fake promises. 1 year later, we reopened. Not in the old location, but in a smaller, cozier spot across town. We named it Truth Coffee, a reminder that honest struggle is better than fraudulent success. Victoria watched the opening from her prison's computer room, part of her supervised internet privileges. She sent a letter afterward, not asking for forgiveness, but acknowledging the truth at last. I told myself I was helping, she wrote, but I was only helping myself. Your success now, built on honesty and real family support, means more than all my fake generosity ever did. As I serve coffee in our new cafe, I often think about that Sunday brunch where everything fell apart. Sometimes things have to break completely before they can be rebuilt stronger. Our new success isn't built on lies or stolen money, but on truth, hard work, and genuine family support. The bell above our new door chimes differently now. It sounds like hope,